Hello and welcome to another episode of Talks. I'm Kimberly Dondo, and in today's episode, I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Dan Cooper, news editor at Money Marketing.
I'm Tom Brown, editor at Money Marketing.
I'm Hayley Rabbets, not editor at Money Marketing. Sorry.
But you are a recurring guest, so you're kind of honorary Money Marketing.
Honorary editor of Money Marketing. I am Hayley Rabbets, head of Evergreen at Colton.
Yes. So since a lot has happened since the last time we've spoken. So do you want to give us a bit of an update and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So previously spoken to you guys a lot about my work within the Ver Foundation, and I left back in October, took a bit of time out to figure out what the heck I wanted to do. Really wanted to do something that had impact in terms of people finding roles and support with advisors wanting to do their own thing. So took some time out to come up with the idea and the concept of Evergreen. Showed a crazy idea to Tom Ham, CEO at Colton, and he was like, "This is actually really cool. Want to do it within Colton?" And then fast forward to today. That's what we're doing.
Brilliant. So can you talk us through the idea and why now?
Sure. Yeah. So when I was working within the Ver Foundation, I was helping new people come into the profession and supporting advisors set up on their own, which is fantastic work. Loved it. But there were some frustrations on the other side of things.
Yeah.
So new people coming in, they would get their diploma, then they would be ready and raring to go, and they couldn't find roles. So that was one part.
Yeah.
The other part was with advisors that were looking for somewhere to support them in setting up on their own. DA is much more difficult these days than it ever has been. And networks are fantastic, but, particularly larger networks, that support then reduces. So again, looking at what could I do or what could I create that would give advisors setting up on their own a little bit more support in practical sense. So I sat down and a good friend of mine said, forget that you need money to do this. Forget regulation.
I live most of my life.
Forget all of those, things. What would you do if you could do it? So I sat down and I kind of looked at the problems, as I've just mentioned, and looked at what I would do if I had unlimited money, unlimited resource to put it together. And that's where this kind of idea came from. So when I called it Evergreen, when I came up with this name, I'd like to say it was really, really clever, but it wasn't. It was a moment of realization of what this thing was. So if we look at the life cycle of a financial planner, new people coming in, helping them getting started, getting through the CAS process, which has been particularly difficult for a lot of newbies. So that's the top of this little cycle. Then you kind of look at emerging businesses, people getting set up, how they find clients, how they build up their business in the first place. So that bit, I'm going to do this quite a lot. And then this last bit over here is succession planning. So planners do a fantastic job of helping their clients get to retirement. They don't always think about what that looks like for them.
Yeah.
And obviously with the consolidation trend, we've seen people get to that stage of life. Maybe something impactful has happened within their careers or within their personal lives, and they go, "Oh, I need to sell." And then so they do this through consolidation. They don't always think about what other options they might have. So maybe taking someone new on, maybe starting a business with someone else, taking on a business partner. And so this succession planning piece is really important as well. That can then feed into the new people, and then you get this evergreen cycle. So the word evergreen came, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we'll call it evergreen." So yeah, I kind of came up with that concept. Then the realization that money does absolutely exist and regulation does absolutely exist. So I started to kind of talk to a few different people about maybe investing in it, maybe joining up together. And as I mentioned, Tom looked at the slides and was like, "Hey, come and do this with me," which is dreams. I mean, you guys had us on together a long time ago talking about the collaboration in the foundation. So yeah, it was great. Like, just brilliant to do that with him.
So you talked about that sort of like, I'm going to use hand gestures as well. That sort of,
it's like a really cool dance as well.
Don't do that. Don't do it enough.
No, you do. You're talking about sort of like a virtuous circle rather than the problem that often exists nowadays of broken sort of pathways. Do you think firms are? There's a lot of talk about sort of like the advisor gap and the importance of recruiting advisors, but do you think that there is at times too much focus on that and not enough focus on the building of careers, or looking at it in a more holistic way, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we obviously need advisors to drive that in the first place, but then we also need the support, and whether that's with individual people, humans, or tech, or a little bit of both, we absolutely need the support around that as well. So a lot of the time we talk about advisors because they are obviously the ones seeing clients, and we forget about the other pathways. So again, when I was thinking about this concept, people coming into the profession are automatically being kind of pushed in the direction of advisor.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I hope, will create a lot of opportunity broader than just the advisor, because they will look to take on support in terms of admin or paraplanning. And I think actually just talking generally in the profession about the different roles and how they might be suited to different types of personality and different things that people like to do, I think we could be more vocal about that. Absolutely.
And you, on your socials, which I love, you've got
nonsense.
Hayley Fixing Finance.
Yes.
Which is great. And I just wondered, what, apart from the things you've mentioned, like what does need fixing, and like how are you going to go about that?
How long have we got?
Maybe just.
I guess if you
briefly,
proper interview style question.
Yeah.
If you could go forward sort of 5-10 years, what would that kind of success look like? What would you want to achieve?
Yeah, so I think more people being able to access not just education, but a blend of like not just advice, but a blend of education, coaching and advice. So when we look at the advice gap, we look at, people can't afford to access advice, and we can understand, as I learned, regulation of money exists, and therefore it is expensive to deliver full-on financial planning. However, I think there's more that we can do in terms of that coaching bit. So someone could maybe go and see a coach to kind of get on top of their money mindset and their finances, their budgeting, all of that kind of stuff before they come and see an advisor. So it almost breaks that down into different stages: education, coaching, advice, which in turn then allows more people to get on top of their finances. So when we talk about the advice gap, I think for me, if we could really fix things, it would be looking at that in more detail, and making access to the different elements easier. That always is going to start with education, but there's ways to kind of fast forward that. And I'd like to see more careers, like we said about the pathways and things, more vocal and more obvious career paths and more structured. What else would I like to see? I would love to see more diverse representation. Yeah. So this is kind of controversial, but I guess you expect that from me. I'm so fed up of people saying, "Oh, we're so diverse. We have a board full of women." That's not diverse. That's the opposite of diversity. You've still got a concentrated group of a particular demographic. I would love to see more actual diversity across the board within finance. I think we have it in some areas as well, but we don't focus on that. We just talk about advisors, which again, loops back to your points. I'm going to shut up now, otherwise we'll go
no. So it's proper systemic change, not just box ticking.
Exactly. And not just kind of talking about that surface level stuff, like really getting into the nuts and bolts of what it means. So another great example of that is the FCA statistics on the age of advisors. So in that bottom group, I think it's maybe 25 and younger, or up to 25 years old. We're often shocked about how small that number is. But really, if you're thinking that's just looking at advisors, that's not looking at the whole profession. Yeah. If you are just out of school, you're 18, you do some qualifications, maybe you get to 20, I'm not really shocked that number is so low, because people need time to learn their craft, learn how to be an advisor, find clients, all of that good stuff. So again, instead of us just saying, oh, we need more advisors under 25, like, do we? And looking more so into those things that we just talk about.
Yeah.
At a more kind of microscopic level.
I don't think I'd want an advisor whose frontal lobe hasn't fully
And this is the thing, right?
That makes me the problem.
Yeah.
But yes. But also I think maybe is it a marketing issue as well? Because how do you, what 18-year-old knows about financial advice to seek it, let alone to go into it as a profession? I think my parents are in their 60s and are only now aware of financial advice because of the job I currently have. So it's like, that is another issue that I don't know how to tackle.
Well, I think it does, again, link into what we were saying about, we say the same things and we don't necessarily think about them. We're always hearing that people aren't interested in a career in advice, and that is fundamentally not true. But probably if you're 16, 18, whatever, and you're in school, you probably aren't interested in a career in finance because you don't know it exists. So there is work to be done there. But again, we can't just keep throwing out these blanket statements of no one's interested in a career in advice. I think that advice is becoming way more interesting, particularly to career changes. And we've seen quite a lot of that over the last few years. So I think a career in finance is out there and people are thinking about it and people are wanting to access it. But I don't think that we are getting school leavers at the moment for that reason. But if we do look at those different roles in terms of like financial education, coaching, and then advice, yes, it makes the career path a bit longer. But I think if you're a younger person, you might be more interested in education or coaching. That sounds a little bit more fun than financial advice and people thinking of people sat behind a desk in a suit,
And you have more of a toolkit, and also coaching is kind of a big buzzword on socials.
Exactly.
I think it makes you feel quite legitimate in that profession.
Lure them in on the coaching. And trap them into the advice.
That's nice way of saying. Also, young people, Gen Zs, are the evidence is they're getting much more interested in sort of saving and investing and all of these things. You know, as economic times are getting tougher, and the feeling is amongst young people, we're on our own here. We need to take more responsibility for our financial futures, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I mean, it is in terms of Tom Ham, our beloved Tom Ham, and Carlton, what have you. Why do you think they were the right partner for you, and what do they sort of like bring to the table in terms of what you needed to get this vision off the ground?
So I've known Tom for probably 2 or 3 years, watched him pour his heart and soul into Colton and see him create this incredible business, and he's very ambitious. He wants it to be huge. What he's built already is incredible. I think Tom and I are very different, and we bring different perspectives and different experiences to this. So he is so client focused, and it's been a number of years since I worked in an IFA firm. So I'm very much on like advisor focused. When you put those two elements together, you're talking about different points of view, but really you're getting to the same end goal. You're just approaching problems in a different way and with different perspectives. So I think that was a really nice thing in that we complement each other's experiences and skills. Also, I think we created this to kind of fit into Colton as is. So that ambition that he's got, this will help to kind of excel that and push that forward. I think also, like, I just love working with Tom. Like, that has to come like reason number 3 because of all the professional stuff. But I love working with him. He pushes me. I've learned so much already. It's only been a few months. And I think together we can build something that's potentially going to be really impactful for the profession.
Because you, like many people, you weren't in finance previously. You came into finance almost accidentally. I think that's fair to say.
Completely accidentally, yes.
But it seems like it's such a passion of yours now. And there's someone. Where did that come from? That passion, or what made you because it feels like more of a mission than a kind of you're like a one woman mission. You're just everywhere. I remember when I first joined, I was like, who is this woman? Does she ever?
Like,
she's at everything. Does she ever?
We've
sleep?
all asked that at some point.
For financial
Superwoman,
advice.
I don't know when she ever finds time to sleep.
Oh,
but yeah, I just
I'm a
you know, you are
robot.
so passionate. I just wonder where that passion
Or a
came from.
vampire.
Vampire.
Vampire robot. Thank you. I'm blushing. Okay, so before finance, I worked in a carpet shop.
Yeah.
I just found a job advert in the local paper for a receptionist within an IFA firm. And I was just like, oh, it's admin. I do admin at Carpetright and I'm going to do admin at a financial advice firm. Cool. And then I sat on reception and I heard everything going on around me and I was like, okay, this is really interesting. Asked a million questions. Somehow they put up with me for like 7 years. But asked all the questions, moved, did lots of different roles, grew with it. But I come from really quite a poor background, single mum, raised me and my brother on her own. And she is the person who is always in my mind in terms of why shouldn't she have access to this? Why shouldn't she have, and not necessarily advice, she doesn't have the finances to take full advice, but going back to the education and the coaching, there were so many things that happened throughout my childhood that she could have managed better if she had a little bit of knowledge. And it's so powerful, and I can't stand anything that's unfair. And I think this is where this like mission and this passion comes from. It feels really unfair to me that my mum grew up like that and she had to, go without eating so we could like really horrible things that she should never have gone through. And it feels so unjust. And when I started noticing these things and thinking about these things, it really did add fuel to the fire of more people should be able to do this. This should be fair. Like people should be able to access it. So my mum drives me and my background drives me and just equality. Like I will just keep going until it feels a bit more equal in the world.
It's why you're always using words like community, trust, support, within sort of like your work. So I think, you're definitely a sort of a people person and the human element is very important with this. You'll know that people are talking about AI and tech constantly now. What do you see that as something that is kind of can help build that sort of sense of like community within sort of financial advice, or do you see it as militating against it, or like all of us, are you kind of just waiting to see how it shakes out as well?
I think a bit of all of those things. I don't think that we will ever be replaced as humans. I think tech can enable community, it doesn't build it. So if we focus purely on community, that's a people thing, that's a connection thing, that's a showing up and being there for people. What tech can do is make things more efficient and more accessible, which then helps to shape what we're doing. One of the main things, and this won't be a surprise to anyone, that came up when I was researching what problems advisors faced was archaic tech. And so when we were putting together the proposition for Evergreen, we really wanted to make sure that the tech that underpinned it all was modern and it was slick and it was streamlining everything, because there's no point in having tech if it's not going to make your life easier. And a lot of advisors out there struggle with the tech that they're given to use. So I think it helps drive efficiencies. I think it can absolutely help give more access to things like advice and help more advisors learn and all of that kind of stuff. It also enables people to have more chance to do things. So, before COVID, how many of us worked from home and used Teams? Like I didn't. And so it allows us, if we think about Colton and Evergreen, it allows us to go all across the UK to support advisors rather than just, you have to be in Edinburgh because that's where Colton is. So I think it enables things. I don't think it's ever going to replace humans fully. And if it does, I've always been really nice to Claude.
Please, can you do this?
Thank you, you're amazing.
I said that to my dad the other day. I always put please in front of me because if this person takes, the thing takes over.
Absolutely.
I treated you well.
You got to remember your manners.
Mind you, it's funny in the office the other day when you were on ChatGPT and it said, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was playing around with something and it kept doing it wrong. I was just experimenting. It kept doing it wrong. And I ended up, you were saying this on. And I put in, "What is wrong with you? Do this correctly."
What did it say?
It said, "You are quite right to be angry.
Yeah.
I am now thinking more deeply about this problem." I was having a row with it and genuinely getting angry with it.
I love how it like validates your feelings.
Yes.
It does. It really sees
You're
and
so
strokes your
right.
ego.
But it's also like kind of condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah. So community is quite big for you in financial advice. Do you think that there is enough community, or is it cliquey, or how do younger advisors coming into financial advice, find their place in it, I guess?
Yeah, I think, again, all of that, I'm going to be known as someone that just sits on the fence now. All of it. I think from the outside, it can feel a bit cliquey and feel a little bit like, oh, well, that's not for me. So we all need to work really hard when we have communities that we're making it feel open and accessible. I think that's super important. But I think once you're in, from my experience, no, it's not been. The number of people I've come across who just genuinely want to help and support because they love this profession. They have similar kind of passion that I do for trying to create a better space for people to grow. So many people are willing. I think for new people coming in, it's always a challenge to know where to go. For me, it was LinkedIn, and I just, as you know, chatted nonsense, did nonsense stuff, and eventually the nonsense comes back to you and you start to find your tribe. So I've always said to like the newbies coming through, find your tribe, look at articles that you see written. If you find yourself nodding and going, yes, I really relate to this person and what they're saying, add them on LinkedIn, tell them that you really like their article, comment on things. You'll then see other comments and it just snowballs, and then you end up with this lovely community. And I know that LinkedIn has negative parts, but I genuinely don't see it because I've exactly, and I've surrounded myself with people who not necessarily have the same opinions as me, because that's dangerous. But that kind of are all moving in the right way in different ways. I have many debates with people. I have strong views and I like to have debates. Actually, that's how Tom and I met. We both had really polar opposite views not about the profession, about something entirely different, but we had a really great conversation about that. And I think the more that you kind of surround yourself with people where you can have that conversation, you don't have to agree, but to have that environment where you can give your views, what we're doing then is creating space for people to have their own ideas and surrounding them with the people that can maybe help those ideas grow. So I think it's super important when you're creating community to keep that in mind as well, that you need different voices. Again, the diversity.
It's the other side of it. I was going to say it's diversity of viewpoint as well as everything else.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's really healthy. And I think, mentioning what I said at the start with Tom and I being so different and creating this, it's really beneficial. It challenges you and it helps you learn. And for new people coming in, that's ideal. You don't want to go into a space where everyone tells you, well, we only do it this way.
Yeah.
And you might not like that way, but you have to do it this way because that's where you are. I think, we need to make sure that there's diversity of thought as well.
I was just going to come back to 2 points we've already mentioned, and that was the advice gap and tech. Do you think we sometimes focus too much on technology in terms of the silver bullet to solving the advice gap? You've mentioned financial coaching, financial education, and then financial advice. Is that a more realistic way of us closing the advice gap? Because it's always technology, it's always AI. AI can reduce this, AI can do this. And I just wondered, are we focusing too much on that and not enough on the other side, do you think?
Yes, but tech enables it. Yeah. I think tech can help things to be more streamlined and more cost efficient. The problem that we will have, or that I foresee us having, is when there are cost savings, it just means that people make more profit rather than actually using that in a meaningful way. So I think it can help. Whether it does help is a different question, because it depends on how it's being used and how that cost saving is being passed on. But always a combination. I think tech is great. I do think that we can't just say that's going to solve it.
Yeah.
Like it's an array of things. But
I suppose that's where you need a vision to where you want to get to,
Yes.
rather than saying tech can do this.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting at the wrong end of the telescope, I suppose.
I guess also, yes, tech can do XYZ, but do we want it to do
Yes.
XYZ, or do we want it to do a bit of it with the human overlay? And I think it's really important for everyone in whatever role to see how tech can help them to do their job rather than just do it all. Because, you know, your argument with ChatGPT the other day proves...
I'm ashamed of this. Sorry. It makes me look like an idiot. Even more of one.
You should try Claude, he's better.
Okay, right, excellent. Give me Claude's number.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought
Claude
you were
threw
going
me
to
for a
keep
second.
going, Tom. So why do you think there is a struggle of keeping a diversity of talent or attracting a diversity of talent into the profession? We've already talked about the marketing part and stuff, but when people do get in, why do some people opt out or maybe, you know, switch careers instead?
Oh, God, there's a lot to this.
Yeah.
Are you ready for me to go on one woman monologue again? So I think in terms of attracting, seeing is believing, and it absolutely was for me. I never thought I'd be an advisor because no advisors I worked with were female.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like, well, also the tattoos and stuff, I was like basically put in a cupboard. Don't let clients see you. Okay, cool, fine, I'll just hide in this cupboard. So again, it was like my appearance meant that I couldn't be an advisor. And I think, you know, we're moving with the times a little bit more. I think that's less frowned upon than it ever was. But I think for new people coming in, they need to recognise themselves in what they see. And if all we do is put, sorry guys, but middle-aged white men on the stage, then that's what people think a financial advisor is. And we talk about, you know, school leavers in particular and their perception of what a financial advisor is. So that's attracting. So we are doing better. Like all of this, I don't think that we're anywhere near the profession that I joined 20 years ago. Like we're not. We have moved forward. It's been very slow. It's been frustrating, but we have moved forwards. So attracting, that is the fundamental thing to me. There will be other things as well in terms of like access to like the qualifications, knowing about it as a career path, all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of keeping people, I think people they need like a structured pathway to where they want to get to. I think we also need to be a bit more realistic about what the end goal is. So because we always talk about advisors, we get people coming and going, right, I want to be an advisor. Whereas actually they might be way more suited to operations or compliance or administration or marketing or whatever. We're not working with people when they come in to figure out what they want to do. We're just going, hey, we need advisors. And they're like, okay, I'll be an advisor. So there's that. There's the structured pathway to get to being an advisor. We all know that it's not like do and you're done.
No.
Wiggly lines all over the show. So when you're taking on someone brand new, I think it's really important to sit down with them and talk about where they want to head to and how you will help them get there. That's the biggest frustration I've seen with people leaving firms, is that they don't know where they're going next. They feel like they're being pushed into one way when they maybe don't want to be there. They don't know what the options are. Ultimately, they'll get another opportunity and they'll go. So I think structure, but also coaching and mentoring, that community piece, again, I guess, is really super important when you're developing people because they need to see what the next step is for them.
Yeah, sure.
Whenever I've spoken to people who do that kind of mentoring, they say it's the most rewarding thing that they've done. They say, I wish I'd done more of it sooner. So I think,
on both sides of it.
On both sides,
yeah. It's very fulfilling.
So throwing forward, it was the classic sort of like question in terms of you've got this you've got Evergreen now, you're excited by it, you're talking to everything about it. What does the next kind of couple of years look like for you? If we were to have this conversation in a couple of years' time, where would you have wanted to get to?
Well, I think we should.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying we won't. I'm just so I can write my script for the next podcast.
So I would love to be all across the UK, loads of lovely financial planners at all stages. So, my lovely little dancing circle, helping people to kind of exit as well is really important. You talk about being on a mission. That's another mission of mine, is to make people to kind of think about it a bit sooner, and so that they can take on new people, and the new people then get more of a chance at a role and all of that kind of thing. So Evergreen within Colton is thriving. Colton's got planners all across the UK, all doing amazing things for clients. We also want to kind of bring in a philanthropic element, and particularly helping ex-military to kind of resettle. We are so busy getting planners. That is going to be like you said 2 years, right? So I'll maybe be there by that point. We want to do more for the profession to give back. Tom has connections with the military, so he would love particularly to help in that area, and just help to make all of those things that I talked about in terms of inequality and unfairness, all of that kind of stuff, do our bit to make that better in the profession as a whole. I love that. So in 2 years' time, you can hold me to it.
Right. So we've kept the receipts.
But as always, Hayley, this has been an awesome conversation, and we will check in next year.
Excellent.
Or at some point. Because like I said, you are basically part of Team Money Marketing at this point.
Honorary editor.
Yes.
I'll get my coat.
We'll let Piers know. He'll approve it.
He will as well.
Sign
but thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.